Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Today I will be trying to migrate over a Hyper-V virtual machine to Proxmox. So I have this little test mini PC, it's a Intel N100, and I have attached a USB hard drive that I have copied over a test VM to. It's a Windows 10 Hyper-V VM, and I will be trying to migrate it over. So I have taken my PC and I've connected it to this management port. The computer currently has Proxmox installed, and then there's pfSense and nothing else running on that. And then the management interface also has access routing, so it has default gateway, and then uplinks to the pfSense, which uplinks to my main network. So when I have my PC attached here, I can still have internet access to view some guides, and then I have access to my little test Proxmox running here. So we'll move over to the computer and then we'll get started. Okay, so now we are at the computer and we can see that I have gotten an IP from my little test router here. So it's using the 192.168.99.1 subnet. And we can see I've gotten the 102 address. So we can try to access the Proxmox instance, which is running on IP number 2, and we can see I'm getting in. I just set it up as root and a secure password, of course. So in here I have this Windows XP, a fake Windows XP VM, and we can open the shell here, and we should be able to see the hard drive that I've plugged in. So it is probably this one, and that matches with the file, the size of it being 460 gigabytes. So I will just have to mount that SDB2 to /mount/ HD the dev SDB2 and put it in, I guess, the directory. So mount HDD. Okay, that worked. So we'll go to that directory, HDD, let's prefer to do that. So we can see here is the VM I have copied, and I've also copied the Virtuo drivers. I do think I already installed it on the VM, so that part should be good. So now we can continue with this guide here, which is showing us how we can actually migrate the VM. So obviously this one, the step installing Virtuo drivers, I've already done that. Stop the VM, export it, and then they're mounting a shared Zamba share, which I didn't do. I just created a physical hard drive instead. So create a VM on Proxmox, and I guess it's gonna be a empty VM. It's not gonna be anything special. I click over here, create VM. So name, we'll give it the name. This is my old, this naming scheme is my domain, and then utility, and then remote desktop, because I used to use this VM as a jump host. I don't anymore, I have an RDS server instead. That's what I used to do. So does it say anything about needing? So we need supplier name, do not install a media, Windows OS, and then we have to use the OVMF. We'll create a 1 gigabyte. Okay, so Windows, and then this is a Windows 10. And we will not attach any media, and that one shouldn't be necessary, but we can always do that later. So the BIOS is supposed to be that one, and I guess we'll add a EFI storage. Did I say anything about the SCSI controller? So disk, create 1 GB. So that, and I think that's just because it's temporary. I remember I read something about that. It's about the drivers that need to be installed. So we have that, and then so the Q35, is that the, what's a Q35? Is that this? What's a Q35? There's nothing about Q35. So add an EFI disk, and this is what you have to do when you select this UEFI machine. Oh, that is, yeah. Okay, so that was the Q35. Makes sense. Okay, that was a bit, I missed that. Yeah, so graphics card, we don't care about that. So that has to be Q35, and then we can do that. So, and I think he says here that you have to delete the IDE thing. So I will just set it up as IDE. And yeah, this one we'll give it like, we'll give it 2 cores, just so it'll go a bit faster. Then we'll do host, because that's what usually is what is gonna work. 2 GB should be, we can give it 4. Can we? Actually, I don't think I can. I'll give it 2. We'll give it 4. Network devices. Did he say anything special about that, or is that just? I think we'll just give it. We'll give it that one, and then that's not VLAN tagged, so it will just be on the network. So I think that's good. Okay. So he says to delete the IDE disk. Okay, how to do that? We'll go to hardware, go to hard disk, we'll say detach, probably. Okay, well, that's removed. I don't know why he wanted it to add it, maybe. So I have to local LVM. Okay, so I don't want to put it in local LVM. I don't know. So maybe to change that, because I don't have a local LVM. We'll copy this command and we'll replace the things. So I think if you will just pop out this one so that I can have multiple things here. Make it bigger. So paste that. Then my thing is called data store. So I think that's the place it's putting it. So the VM is VM number 102. So import disk 102, we have the virtual hard disk, VHDX, and then put it in data store. Okay. Doesn't look to be doing a whole lot. There should be space on it. It's a 128 gigabyte hard disk, and the SSD in here should be, let's have a look. Yeah, that's the local one, data store. In summary here, so you can see there's 470 gigabytes, should be plenty. Okay, it is doing something, it's just not updating live. Okay, so you can see this is going pretty slowly. So while we wait for Proxmox to finish copying over the VM, we can sit here and look at the blinking light of the hard drive. When I'm going to do this to my production server, I'm definitely going to be moving the VMs to a bit of a faster SSD instead of this hard drive, because I think that would speed up the process a whole lot. But now I'm just doing it with a hard drive, just as a proof of concept, so it doesn't really matter how long it takes. But on my real server I have a 2 terabyte NVMe SSD, which is hosting all my VMs, and approximately 1.5 terabytes of that is used. So with this speed it would take quite a long time. Okay, so as we can see, it just finished. It did take a bit longer than expected. It took about 35 minutes to copy this 127 gigabytes. But obviously that depends on the speed of the media you have connected. So the next thing that we'll need to do is we'll need to mount the hard drive to the hardware. So we'll just refresh this just to make sure I don't have anything. So we can see this one is the I guess this one is the 1 gigabyte one we connected, and this one is the one we just imported, because it does say to double click on use disk 0. So disk 0 should be, I don't know what that one is then. We'll import that as IDE, and then we'll attach the other one as SATA, not SATA, sorry, SCSI. And I think actually we don't, I think we're not gonna do IDE. I think we'll just detach that one again. I think we'll do SATA, because it did come from a generation 2 Hyper-V VM, and I think that runs SATA, so I think that would be better. But I don't know if we can see the details of it other than, no, we can't really. So I think that's right, that he says disk 0 should be the one we just imported, and a 1 gigabyte hard disk, so we did that. So what we'll do now is we'll go to options, and then we'll go to boot order, and then we'll make sure that our this one is at the top, so this should be our one with our data. Actually, you can see the size here. Never mind, it says the size right here. Didn't realize that, so I moved it, and now I have to enable it also. Does it also show the size here? Did I just miss it? Yeah, I totally missed it. It shows the size right there. So yeah, this is the 1 gigabyte one, and that will be SCSI, and then that one will be IDE. So let us give it a try, see what happens. Okay, we get a Windows loading thing, that's a good thing. And this VM is a domain joined VM. It's not going to be able to find its domain controller because it's connected to a totally different network than it's used to be. But this is just a proof of concept, so it doesn't really matter about the domain part. I'm just worried about getting it to boot up and that stuff. And well,
That's not good. So inaccessible boot device. So we'll probably should have made it as IDE instead, because that's usually what that means. So detach it. Oh, I should have stopped it first. Stop. Stop. God damn it. Okay, it stopped now. Okay, so now we'll detach it. Attach it again as IDE. Okay, and then we'll fix the boot order. So we'll make sure that the IDE is on the top and enabled. And that one, CD-ROM, we don't need to worry about. Okay, let's try that one more time. So it's doing automatic repair now. It probably did recognize that it blue screened before. It usually takes a few more blue screens to do automatic repair, but whatever. So it's doing some stuff. It did say in the guide to use IDE or SATA, and assuming that with generation 1 Hyper-V VMs you get IDE drives as default, I'm pretty sure, and then with generation 2 you get either SCSI or SATA. I don't remember which one, so I'll just give it a restart and see. So we're getting the same as before, and I don't think it did this before, so it's getting a bit further. Now it's loading the drivers, so obviously it recognized that it's new hardware. So coming from a generation 2 Hyper-V VM, it is UEFI. That part should be fine. If it was not UEFI, then I would have to create it as a different kind. I guess not. I guess the CBIOS would do that. But I think all of my VMs are generation 2. I don't have any generation 1 VMs. So we're getting into Windows. That's a good thing. Okay, try to log in. It's good. Maybe it will log in, maybe it will fail. I think it will work even though it doesn't have a domain controller, because it still has a cached login, so it should work. But let's see. Okay, yes, and it even sees the network. So we'll go into Device Manager. Then we'll also open up here. And okay, we don't see the hard drive, but maybe it's not formatted. It's probably not formatted actually. So we'll just go into Disk Management and see if it recognizes the. Yeah, it does even recognize the SCSI. So should be initialized, and then we can put a volume on it just to test it. Yep, works totally fine. Okay, that's good. So let's go into Device Manager again. I don't know why I closed that. So in here we see our network adapters. Let's see. Don't know if this doesn't have the VirtIO, but let's see if it gets online. The IP config, it does actually get online. This is the IP of my lab pfSense. So should be able to ping it. Yep, should be able to ping my 133. Yep, that also works fine. This is my home router's lab network. So that seems good. Let's try to open up Chrome, see if it can access anything. Let's just go to YouTube. And yep, seems to work just fine. It's not going very fast, but yeah, you can see it's definitely loading. We'll just have a look at the resource view here. You see it's using pretty much all of its RAM. It's not gonna be how it's gonna actually run, but I'm a bit weirded out because I thought I used VirtIO drivers, but maybe I didn't. Network device. No. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So that's why it's not VirtIO. So what we're supposed to do now is shut down the VM. And we'll just wait for it to do that. And then we are supposed to change the hard drive again. So we'll have this one, we'll detach it, and I keep right clicking, and that's not how you do it. We can also detach that one. Then we'll take the... Oh, it was not actually me, that was weird. It doesn't show the size when you're looking at an unmounted disk. So I think it was this one. And then we'll put SCSI. And then it shows... Oh, that was the wrong one. Okay, so it's 0. It was 0, I just said. Yep. Okay, so that one. And then we'll go into options, then we'll do boot order. And we'll just need to make sure that this one is at the top and enabled. And then I think I also want to change the... No, let's not change too much at one time. I think I also want to change the network adapter to be VirtIO, because then it will be more optimal for... it will be higher speed, and that didn't work. So all I changed was the boot order to VM. That was weird. It didn't even come with a Windows error, it just shut down. So yeah, if it was a hard drive problem, then it should at least like complain about it in Windows. Let's see. Maybe it was just a fluke. I actually don't know how many resources are left on this. I was a bit worried about the memory. But as you can see here, I did have enough space to give it 4 gigabytes. Because I guess I only gave my pfSense, I only gave that 1 gigabyte. And then this one has 4 gigabytes. So I'll get back here, see what it's up to. It probably has to reinitialize some drivers now. Okay, so he rebooted it and then he detached it. So maybe that's what I'm missing. So I skipped a step. Good. So this, if I go into disk management, I should be able to, yeah, so now I should be able to go into properties. So it is a SCSI drive. Let's go into device manager. So is there any exclamation points? There's not how many disk drives. Yeah, okay, so you can see it's there, and there's no exclamation points. So, and I did install I don't know if it's supposed to show up in like the start menu. So I have just downloaded the Word.io drivers, and I think we'll just run the guest exe here, and yeah, we'll definitely do some gaming. Yeah, so it is already installed. So that's not the problem. But maybe he did say like just to reboot it. So I think we'll try that. And then after the reboot, I'll shut it down, and then I'll try to detach the thing. So we'll shut down. Okay. So I don't know why it didn't want to restart, but seems to shut down just fine. Yeah. So we'll try to do that hard disk thing again. This one. Yes, that's the correct one. Okay. So I forgot to change the boot order. So yeah. Let's abort that. I'm not gonna do a PXE boot. So options, boot order, and we'll just move that and enable it. It's a bit annoying it doesn't do that by itself. So we'll see again. If it will work. Okay, so it did the same as last time. I just so now if I start it, it's gonna start up in automatic repair probably. Maybe not. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so it does have to have an extra reboot. So you reboot it as you reboot it the first time while it has both drives attached, and you reboot it and then you detach it and then boot it up. That's weird. And it's also weird why it did that thing where it shut down immediately when I started it. But maybe that's a problem with Proxmox. So we can see here that it's using the DVD, and then the boot drive here is the SCSI. So that seems good. I don't know if I can change the network adapter while it is running. Change that to Word.io. See what happens. Maybe it will recognize it, maybe it won't. Does that require a reboot? I don't think it does. Doesn't look like it does. Okay, so we did get Red Hat. Let's check. Yeah, that works. So if we go to, let's just do a speed test. Yeah, 1.1 gigabits. So at least it's able to communicate at my internet speed. That's obviously not a test of how well it communicates with my local network, but I think this should be fine. So I think that pretty much sums it up. So we have networking with the Vert.io, which is what people say that you should use, and then we have SCSI as boot drive, which seems to be what you want. And yeah, I think that's all you could want.
So in this video we've successfully migrated a Hyper-V VM to Proxmox. While editing the video I did notice a couple of errors that I made. When I first booted up the VM I had the hard drives attached in the wrong storage controllers, meaning that the boot device was attached as SCSI and the temporary one was attached as SATA. And that resulted in the SCSI drivers not installing in the first round. That also means that the second round I had was probably not necessary with the second reboot, because if I had just installed the drivers the first time around, then maybe it might have worked. But I guess we're here to learn, and I hope you learned something as well. In the next video we are going to be doing the full migration on my main server, so I hope to see you then. Bye for now.